Hi, welcome back to the North Florida Sports Network. Today, it's Anger Management Day in the North Florida area. As we somehow try to grasp the decision made by the College Football Committee. We're not going to yell. We're not going to scream. We're not going to get angry at all. We're just going to talk about it and let it out. There might be tears, but it's okay to cry. Real men do. And that's what we're here to do. Just to prove that I'm not talking out of my butthole, I brought in our Miami contributor, Justin, to join us. Hello, Justin. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, welcome to the screwed out of the national championship club, Florida State.
Oh, not going to get mad at that. Yeah.
You can be just as mad as us Canes fans were in 2000 when the Bowden Championship Series put y'all against Oklahoma and left us out with a head-to-head victory over period.
Yeah, that I do remember that. That might upset some people, and I could see how you might be upset by that.
I'm still upset about it.
And I am welcoming, and I will be in that club. I will like to tell you that, though, in that year, Miami did, however, lose a game. And I know that they beat FSU head-to-head, and I think that makes sense that they should be in. But there was only two teams that went to the championship. But I welcome. Thanks for letting me in the club, though. I'm not happy to be here. Seems like
it's not a fun club, man.
No, it seems like I see War Eagle over there in the corner, Tuberville. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's Center. The biggest one. Yeah. Like when I've been talking to people the past couple of days,
right.
I've actually been defending Florida State because, like I said, you're in the club,
right?
And I know how it feels to be completely screwed out of a national championship game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, like Florida State's got a legit beef. Like anybody that says that they don't have an argument is just an SEC dick rider.
And they got some sort of tie to it. They don't know what sports is all about. It's about wins and losses. You win a conference championship and go undefeated. At no other point did they ever do this. They did it this year because it messed up with their bottom line. There's no other. You think in 2003, what wasn't around in 2003 when Auburn got snubbed?
The SEC ESPN television contract, my friend.
You are correct, sir. And if that were in place, there's no way Auburn would have been left out that year. Not at all.
No way. I mean, they shouldn't have been anyways.
Right. I agree. I mean, but there was only two teams, right? And if that happened this year, say for instance that happened this year, it would have been the same thing. I would feel better about it. If FSU fans would feel better about it because there's only two teams that are in, and you went with two undefeated teams at least. I mean, at least you went with teams that had similar resumes. The fact this is unprecedented because you were jumped by two teams with one loss, and I think everybody, and it's crazy how they just keep comparing it to. Oh, I need to calm down a little bit. Settle in now. They keep comparing FSU with Alabama and not Texas or not Washington, and they just assume, hey, Texas, they're in. Guys, let's compare you with Alabama because they have because we know they're the best team probably this year. And if it's the best four, let's take Georgia then. And why is Washington in? Because Georgia would be favored over Washington. So what are we doing? Georgia should be in then.
Let's just have Vegas pick what the closest
That's what we should
are.
do. That's what we should do, right? Saban brought that up last year when he was politicking to get in with two losses. It's absolute bull crap, but it is about money. It's about business and they tell you this right in your face, like on their shows. When you have someone like Stephen A. Smith tell you that if Florida State hired Coach Prime and did the same thing. But come on, man.
Yeah, no, there's actually, I can't believe after all this crap, I gotta give at least some people on ESPN some credit. Because like you said, like what Stephen A. pointed out, and I think he's correct. I think if Coach Prime has this FSU team undefeated, there's no way they're out of the playoff.
That's it. That right there shows you that the sport's over. It's a glorified TV show that they can control what happens. It's about ratings. Follow the money, and it just a sad day, a really sad day for college.
You know where
football.
the money once led to a guy named Terry Porter throwing a flag against Miami in a Fiesta Bowl. That was kind of important.
And that Ohio State team never would have had a chance. They barely beat a 3-9 team that year, like in overtime, to get there.
Yeah, but that's where the money was. The money was with Ohio State, and Ohio State had to win.
Yeah,
the money back in 2000
well,
was with Bowden and Florida State, and it had to go there.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, but nothing. They didn't have a committee then, and if they had a committee, then Miami would have got in that year. This is just flat out wrong. This is an objective. This is an agenda. You can't tell me otherwise. I mean, when they initially never had to do this before, but they would have all along because they wrote it into the bylaws by saying the best teams. By having, hey, we can do whatever the hell we want to get whatever matchup we want in whatever bowl game is up this year.
Now, here's something I haven't heard anybody bring up with this whole undefeated conference champion, deserving, not deserving, discussion. How was Cincinnati a couple years ago more deserving than Florida State this year?
Or TCU last year? And they keep using that argument, that, hey, we don't want to have a repeat of last year and have a blowout, which the reason that TCU was even in that game is because they got word that Michigan was cheating. So we let a cheating team in. If TCU, any undefeated team was going to be left out, it should have been Michigan.
But when they say we don't want a repeat of that, the TCU blowout was in the national championship game. So that was after TCU won a playoff game.
Yeah, after
so
they beat
the hell out of here with that.
I know, but and then it's even more funny to just think after they beat the team that was cheating, because the only reason they beat Michigan is because they found out that they were cheating and they did dummy calls, and Michigan was thinking that they were going to get one thing and they got completely blindsided, because if they actually didn't if they weren't cheating at all, they would have beat TCU.
Yeah, theoretically.
So they're cheating. I'm convinced if they weren't cheating, they would have beat them straight up. But they were, and they were using that formula. TCU caught wind of it and was using it against them. That's the only way they were able to. Well,
I'm not convinced that Michigan could beat a top 10 team that's not.
They haven't played anybody. They haven't played anybody. What's their out of conference schedule? What are you telling teams to do? Don't play anybody. And if you do, we're going to just say your conference sucks.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just about to say. That is like, you can't not play anybody unless you're in the SEC.
You got to get out.
Schedule November games against Division II schools.
You got to get out. You got to get out of the ACC. Miami does. Florida State does.
Miami, FSU, Clemson, North Carolina need to go somewhere.
Right, and I don't want to go to the SEC, man.
I do. I want to go through there, and I just want to show them that they're not that great.
Well, you have teams that are good, like Alabama, LSU, Georgia. Pretty much that's it.
But they're not this top to bottom.
No. ACC had 11 bowl teams. 11, the most of any conference. So it's not. We saw what happened in the off. They have good talent at the top, but when you get everything pushed your way, the sport still should have wins and losses decide everything, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and why are you not penalized for struggling to beat a Texas A&M team that Tyler Van Dyke boat raced?
That's true. There's so many.
Why are you not penalized for a miracle to beat a 6-6 Auburn team who the previous week lost by 4 touchdowns to New Mexico State?
Yes, that's right.
I mean, like struggled against Arkansas. They struggled against all these garbage teams. Yeah. They win one big game. One big game.
Yeah, because the Vegas part is just sick because if you want to do that when someone lost or when you're comparing equals, but you're not. You're comparing them to a team that lost, a team that struggled, a team that had to bench their quarterback at some point this season. And then Washington doesn't get compared with them because they didn't have an injury. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think FSU's got a chance against Washington. If they did it like it should be Michigan versus whoever that one-loss team is. That debate should have been against Texas and Alabama. And they knew that debate would have been that knew that people would have gone crazy about the head-to-head.
But that's the easiest debate answer.
Right.
You lost at home by 2 touchdowns.
So you're not in.
Game over.
You're not in. But they couldn't have their SEC not in. The next year, they paid $3 billion for it.
Dude, next year, the 12-team playoffs going to be 5 conference champions and 7 SEC at-large teams.
Yeah. It is. It's going to be nothing but Big Ten and SEC teams that have lobbied to get there. You're not going to get.
That's where the money is.
You might get 2 out of the ACC or Big 12. Big 12 might grab 2, 1 depends.
Yeah, I mean, who are you going to put in out of the Big 12? Kansas State? I mean, come on. Big 12's done.
No, it's going to get. Well, you're going to get 1 conference champ. That's it.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
There's going to be a 9-3 Kansas State is going to get sacrificed up to somebody just so they can say, oh, well, look, we let them in.
Well, what's the next stage is when you have a real good team that doesn't win the conference in the ACC. Say Miami went, 10-2 this year, or lost to.
Or no, you know what? Even better. Let's do the 2000 scenario. Miami goes 11-1 with their 1 loss to a number 3 Florida State. Florida State goes 12-0. Miami gets left out of that playoff in a 12-team cycle. What the committee just said was that an 11-1 runner-up in the ACC isn't good enough to compete with anybody in the top 10.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. You're only going to get 1 automatic shot, and SEC is going to get
everybody.
4 or 5. So so what are you going to what do you think coaches are going to tell recruits on the field? You can come here. You're automatically you're automatically going to make the playoffs as long as we don't lose 4 games. You're in.
Yeah. I mean, the ACC just needs to go ahead and pay out all their schools and say we're done with football.
Just file collusion, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would go.
I don't know, but it seems like they're making it where their product always gets the benefit here. I don't know, but the NIL is different. I mean, you have to pay the players now, so now the actual TV dollars it's going to trickle down to the players. The more times you get into the bigger games, you get more money. There's nothing to prevent this from happening. And then, God forbid, you win all your games. You didn't look good enough, or you had someone injured on a team sport. So,
yeah, no, I don't get it with the injury thing, especially when you look back. Another example is Ohio State rolling in with their 3rd-string quarterback and winning the Natty.
Right, and they put up 59 points. Well. Defense plays well too, and I think they just deserve a shot, man. There's no way they're getting beat by TCU. They're not with that defense. Florida State's got sorry.
When you play, in the Big Ten, it's pretty easy to put up 59 in your conference championship game because you're just playing Iowa every freaking year.
Florida State just won a Big Ten game in the ACC. That was like an every week Big Ten clash, 16-6. I mean, the Michigan
with a 3rd-string. With a 3rd-string quarterback, there was no difference. No difference between Michigan, Iowa, and FSU.
And they would have had the 2nd-string back by the playoff, and they would have had time to prepare. They were owed a shot. Now the whole team has all the players that were impactful are going to opt out or have opt out already. So I don't want to hear this if Florida State gets blown out by Georgia or loses. It doesn't matter. This game is a glorified scrimmage. This game is just extra practices for next year for both teams.
It's an early spring game.
Yeah, it really is, because you're going to get Georgia's probably going to have their quarterback. So, but anybody why would you play in this game?
Not especially if you're Florida State.
Yeah,
if you're a Florida State guy, dude, it is so reminiscent to me of the 2000 year with the Hurricanes. Because the Hurricanes, they were all talking about, we're going to boycott it. We're not going to play. This is bullshit. We're clearly the best team in the country. Oklahoma would have gotten destroyed by that Hurricanes team that year.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't have even been freaking close.
Yeah, but that's not right. And that made having the computers figure out two teams wrong. But I think if you use computers to figure out four, you would never have that problem.
I don't know. I saw the BCS screw up too much stuff.
That's true. I saw the BCS screw up too often, man, to trust them with four. Like, oh, well, you screwed up two, you'll get four, right? Well,
like,
they wouldn't disrespect wins
wrong.
and losses. I mean, the committee did not do this. They did a disservice, and they did. What makes it great is you have underdogs that can win. You have great stories like Jim Valvano.
Like TCU last year?
Or in any sport, you have these great stories, man. That
Miami's Final Four run last year. We were like a 6 seed.
Just after the Elite Eight, we're going to have a committee get together and figure out, oh, man, we can't have that. We got to have better matchups in the Final Four. We're going to do a committee to figure out who deserves to be in the Final Four. It's ridiculous.
Miami and FAU wouldn't have been there.
I've never seen a regular season get dumped on like this one has. I've never seen a conference get dumped on like the ACC did this year. The ACC is on its way to death in football. How can you want to stay in this? I don't know.
How can any team recruit to the ACC right now? Any team.
Well, you're just going to have to pay them.
But I mean,
you have to use that. You're going to be I think kids want to go to the NFL and they want to get developed. So you can still roll back on, hey, we're still going to make you good. You're still going to get drafted. I mean, look at the improvement. You have to look at it. You can't let the committee take down what you built, what all the work that they did. The players don't deserve that. They deserve to be celebrated. You know. I mean, they're ACC champs. They never got a shot to play for a national title, and that's an injustice. But you did everything that you could do. So
that's where I see a major issue, not just for Florida State, but for every team in the ACC.
Right.
Because an elite level athlete from high school is going to get paid no matter what, where he goes. And every school is going to have the pitch that we can get you to the NFL because every school puts guys in the NFL.
Right.
But what an ACC team no longer has is you can play for a national championship.
Well, you can if you win the ACC.
Can you?
Not next year.
Because that just happened.
No, next year. You're automatically in next year. But it was funny that that's what they're going to wait till next year. This won't happen. They had one more year to set the stage
they just had to stick the SEC in there for the last year.
Oh man, they didn't make it all year. There was going to be history. They didn't deserve it over an undefeated team. And you go undefeated. I don't care. You deserve the right to play. You deserve the opportunity to have someone beat you. Then beat them again. Someone go beat them. Someone go blow them out. And then so all the guys don't opt out. And they don't. That was the last time you're ever going to see that roster together. Was in a win, And they didn't get crowned champ. They won every game they played together. And they didn't get crowned champ except for the ACC. They didn't get a chance. Now they had to end it. They all done. They're all out. All the receivers are gone. The tight end's gone. Anybody
I could almost
accept.
In this fictional scenario I'm about to lay out for you.
Okay.
I could almost accept a one-loss SEC going in over an undefeated Florida State if we're talking about 2012 when the SEC was really actually sick, nasty loaded.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do that, and they wouldn't have done that then.
If a one-loss Georgia in 2010, say they lost to Florida, but beat Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, all which were 9-10 win programs at the time, there's at least an argument there. But the SEC was down this year. Nobody can argue that it wasn't. They went 4-6 against the ACC. FSU beat 2 SEC teams. Miami, for God's sakes, beat an SEC team. I mean, the SEC is not what it was 10 years ago, and they're still just like, I mean, they're worse than goddamn Canes fans at this point, counting our fucking rings from the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous, dude. The SEC is not that good this year, man. They're just riding on coattails of Nick Saban. And I watched Alabama play a lot of games this year. Alabama was not impressive. Their offense was scramble around by Milroe, make a lucky play.
They played well against
Alabama's
Georgia.
offense.
And Georgia wasn't the two-time. I mean, they tried to say it doesn't. Other years don't matter. The beginning of the season doesn't matter. But when they announced like what Georgia did in their show where they announced it, they said they beat the two-time defending champions. And when Texas was announced, they said that the win over Alabama, which happened in week 2, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
The same Alabama team that benched their quarterback and played USF and only scored 17 points against a bad USF team.
Dude, and the Texas team beat them in Tuscaloosa.
In Tuscaloosa.
And dominated.
And then they
quarter.
went and played their rival and lost after that.
A heartbreaker.
But they lost, though.
Yeah,
and
I
both
think
those
Texas
teams
is the
should have
best
been
team in the
compared.
country.
Both those teams should have been compared.
Oh yeah, no, it should have been Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and Texas.
Yeah.
That should have been your 4.
But we can't leave the SEC out, like we said. If that was Auburn, that was the best one I heard. If Auburn, if that ESPN Auburn deal was already in place, there ain't no damn way in hell Auburn's getting left out in 03 or 04 or whatever that was.
Yeah, I mean, that year they had to put USC in because, Hollywood.
It would have been USC Auburn. They would have left Oklahoma out.
Yeah, and then Auburn, Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown, and Jason Campbell
but they did,
that USC team.
Yeah, they don't have. Oh God, man, this one's not. You're never gonna. It's sad because this team's never gonna. They'll have their reunion 25 years from now. They'll all be talking about the same thing. Damn, they never gave us a shot. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be 100%. Like, nobody's 100%. And yes, Florida State wouldn't have been favored against any of those matchups. But what the hell you play the whole season for? You knew it was bound to happen when they put that in the bylaws 10 years ago. We can do whatever we want in case we don't like the matchups.
In case the SEC doesn't play good.
Yeah, in case it looks like they deserve to be out. We could be like, well,
that needs to be like their last point in their list of criteria is, and in case the SEC has a 3-loss team, we can put them in.
All right, Justin. Well, thanks for coming on, and I'll try to get through this, and we'll get some basketball talk in next time, and we'll do that right here on the North Florida Sports Network.
We had to go. Our ride was here. We got a shuttle.